Hello traders, welcome to your technical market update for Friday the 27th of February 2015. Let's get into it. I'll go to a daily chart here on the New Zealand versus the US. I believe that you would have all watched the fundamental video as we discussed the US dollar and how it impacted all currency pairs last night and the reasons why. As you can see here, we did get a rejection of the fib level that we have been targeting now for some days. I've been mentioning that we could get a rejection here where once support is now did become resistance. Whether that resistance holds in the short term, we'll have to wait and see, as we'll determine what happens with the US dollar strength, whether that actually continues to take hold of the market or not. To trade this, after this very significant daily candle, we'd go to an hourly time frame. We would look at historical resistance levels, possibly becoming a resistance level again today. The reason I say that, this is yesterday's big move in the US session, and it took out the lows of the previous session, making it quite a nice pattern there for a potential shoulder, head and shoulder. So head and shoulders pattern. If we get a rejection here towards the early start, the early few hours of the European session, we might get a shorting opportunity to short it towards the 75-cent range. I'll be getting out before there if the opportunity arises, and I won't be trying to push my luck to this uptrend line here. I just like to take the easy money. It's coming into the weekend, so things could get quiet later on in the US session. So I'll have to wait and see if there's an opportunity there to scalp or to make a few pips going short. We might be able to get in as close as we can to 75,400 and get out at 75,250 or something like that to make 25 pips. We'll have to wait and see, but there's possibly an opportunity for you. The Australian dollar had a very convincing move. It rejected here off the fib 50 as we've been targeting. So you've got your move, your big fall, consolidation, bit of support found, and then a grind higher towards the historical downtrend line. Now we have a very significant engulfing bear candle. That's a very strong move. Once again, that was initiated by the US dollar. If we were to go to some shorter time frames, you'll see though we haven't really taken out the trend here. We've still got some higher lows, but if this low is to get taken out, we could see a much broader move further south. If we're going to trade this on tonight's session, this is the move in the US, and then we had a bit of a fall in the Asian session today. We would be looking for the market to have a bit of a pullback, and it is pulling back right now, and we need to find it at a common level. If I was to go out to, I'll just go to a 4-hourly chart so I don't have to zoom out as much. The fib 50 lines up with historical levels here and here. If I go to a smaller time frame, you'll see the fib 50 lines up in several other occasions as a resistance level. So we could actually see the market continue to rally up into this zone leading into the US session. If this happens and we get more of a rally, well then keep an eye on the New Zealand, because it could also continue to grind higher as well and not find resistance at that level I pointed out. So those two will move hand in hand, and it's always good to help use them as confirmation. I'd like to trade if they both give a signal short at the same time. It's just another added piece of information. Also, historical support could now become resistance. So keep an eye on resistance in this area, and you might be able to get a short. Once again, I'm not going to try and short it through this uptrend line. I just want to make a few pips. I'll probably get out before 78 cents and just call it the weekend. So a bit of scalping going on tonight from myself. Won't be looking for any major trends. We'll leave that to next week as everyone packs up. So there's hopefully an opportunity there. We'll keep an eye out for it. The Great British Pound, we still have this rising wedge, but as I mentioned, they usually do break out to the downside with this big move south, another engulfing bear. Due to the strength of the US dollar only, there wasn't any weak pound data out, and that produced this candle formation. So if we now go to a 4-hourly, you'll see that it found support here at $1.54 even perfectly, and on the rising wedge trend line. So the only trade that I'll be doing is a breakout of $1.54 and making some money to the downside. However, if you are very confident that this move is going to continue, you'll see that there's some resistance and support there, some historical resistance there. We could just be getting a move back up to here before we find resistance, and then continue to fall away. So it could be somewhat of a swing trade. It's not the highest probability trade, but if you really want to try and get a bit desperate in there, you could make some money. The high probability money trade would be to short it here and take a quick pips before we get to the next support level. That's the high money trade, and we possibly get that opportunity tonight. We'll have to wait and see. If not, I'll keep an eye on it for next week for you. The daily, we had a breakout. Now, I've been talking about how we had some straddle orders and how I was going to take them off. I didn't take them off, and my order got executed south. I've now closed my long position, and we are in some profit. But given the fact that I was mentioning in the fundamental video that Fisher, Dudley and Mester are Fed members that made the comments that they favour a June rate hike, they aren't voting members, and I don't hold their opinion in high regard, and I don't think the market will either. As the trading session rolls out today and into next week, they'll sort of dismiss it. So if that was the pure reason for the move, and I believe it was because we didn't get any other outstanding data to create such a big move across all currency pairs, and so this breakout could be a false breakout, and we could actually be forming a double bottom here on the euro. So I'm actually going to look to take profit on that position. So if you didn't take your orders off either, like I mentioned, that it's something that I was considering, well, maybe look to take some profit in the European session. If we go to a shorter time frame, it actually bounced off $1.12. Now, it could just hold here and then continue to grind higher, along with the Aussie, the pound, and the New Zealand, if the move in the US dollar last night starts to lose its sting. I wouldn't be surprised if all pairs just grind a little bit higher against the US dollar. But if momentum kicks in, we could take out this low, and you could scout for another 10 pips, take out the low, chase 10 pips, and then exit all orders, and we'll reassess things next week. So that's something that I'm looking to view, or you could just take your money now. So they're the questions you got to ask yourself. I'll leave it up to you on what you want to do, and we'll go from there. The CAD. Now, oil had a bounce. It's been highly volatile and it just doesn't want to break this support, and we spoke about it, but we also had US dollar strength. So the combination of the two, we had a falls of 3% and then we had a rise of 4%. So it's slightly an engulfing pattern, but I think right now it's in a consolidation range and people are struggling to know the overall trend. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I think we could have it if US dollar comes off. It might not be an oil-driven story. It may be a US dollar story. It could just consolidate down here, but I don't see any trades at all for the US dollar CAD. I was hoping that last night we were going to get a bearish move on the US dollar and break out of there. It wasn't meant to be. We'll wait another day to continue stalking that trade. But the US dollar strength did help our US dollar JAP position that we've been holding on through all these sessions here. It hasn't gone anywhere and we've been quite patient, but now we're in a little bit of profit, happy days, and we'll see what happens. If the US dollar strength story does continue and it gets up into here, it's something that I might look to hold. However, if we see US dollar weaken across all the other currency pairs, I may just exit the order because I'm starting to get a little bit impatient with this, and given the overall headlines and the overall story of the US dollar, it might lose its momentum and its sting going higher and just continually grinding higher on the back of Janet Yellen not giving an indication on when they're going to raise rates, but in fact telling the market we're going to hold off until the time's right. So everyone was so antsy to get a rate rise before June, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So I don't think the US dollar bulls are going to continue just to dominate so excessively over the top of every other currency pair. But once again, we had some Japanese data come out earlier, and it was weak as well. So this could continue grinding higher on the back of the Japanese economy not going so well. We had a little bit of pullback in the session. If I go to an hourly this here, and that's due to their Kuroda coming out and basically saying that stimulus, they're starting to see signs of stimulus working. We'll have to wait and see if that's the case, but I don't think the market's going to really buy into what he's saying because the actual economic data, the raw data, the facts aren't supporting what he's saying. He's just trying to jawbone the market and say, look at me, I'm doing a good job. Please believe me. So that's where we're at. I'll stop rambling on. Hopefully we can pick up some trades there. I've went through a few. And have a good week. and I'll be back again next week. So until then, trade well.